Thanks to the wonderful members of Community Board 2, I've been elected to serve as chair. And the vice chairs are Mr. Leonard Jordan, please raise your hand. And Ms. Barbara Zalagrina, please raise your hand. And the secretary is Jessica Thurston, please smile, raise your hand. All right, good. So those are the officers of Community Board 2. I welcome all the members of the community who are participating this evening. And it is great to see my fellow board members participating this evening as well, so thank you. I'm going to move through the agenda. Everyone should have had a chance to see the agenda. If not, it's easily able to pick up from our website or through the mailing distribution, and you'll see the agenda there. First is the welcome, which I just did. Next is the adoption of the agenda. I'll call to everyone's attention. We moved the agenda around a little bit, and for the next few meetings, you may see me play with the agenda a bit. I'm trying to get the right cadence to be able to have guests and dignitaries who may be dealing with competing meetings, the ability to give their announcements, give their updates, move on, and then let us conclude with the rest of our business so that there really isn't any interruption. So bear with me, we'll get the right cadence, but we might get us kicked off tonight. As a reminder, this meeting is all meetings that are allowed to take place virtually is being recorded. And should anybody have any questions or comments about the recordings, you can contact the board office at a later date. Again, any comments or corrections or changes, suggestions to the agenda? Seeing none, we're going to move forward with this as being adopted. We're going to do this through negative consent, so no need to do a full motion, it's just an adoption. Next is, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from our November 22nd meeting? Are there any noted corrections or comments? If you do have any, Barbara, would you please submit them to the board office?
I did.
Okay, great. And the same holds true for everyone else. Now we will make those adjustments and have them recorded into the official minutes. Next on the agenda, is there anyone who is not a community board member who is present this evening representing the community that would like for us to amplify a message or a particular topic that is on the agenda or something that we like for us to bring to attention that cannot wait for a committee meeting? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as presented. And the first item for action is the chairperson's report. So it's been a little busy it's between now and our previous meeting. And there's, Tay and I have been, first of all, let me just say, Tay has hit the ground running, probably to no one's surprise, as our district manager. And she and I have been attending several meetings. One of the many meetings we attended was a meeting on the BQE that was hosted by Pratt Institute. And the speakers of the Pratt Institute session was a former consultant from PRA that did an independent study around the BQE, as well as the former Transportation Commissioner, Hank Gutman. The meeting, I found the meeting to be very interesting. And it was a quote that the former commissioner made that I thought was interesting. He said, through several conversations and many smart people around the room wanting to do things that are in best interest of the community, the fact remains that no matter what decision is made, you're not going to have unanimous support. There are going to be people that will always be upset either side. And so with that as the forethought, it's important to figure out what decision is going to be made that's not going to create the greatest harm to the community. And so having delved a little deeper in subsequent meetings, many of which I've been taking part of through the BQE Community Visioning Council, the reality is for every moment that debates are taking place about what to do, the BQE is getting worse. When you had the opportunity to look at or see pictures of the BQE, you immediately recognize that it is literally crumbling. Every moment a vehicle goes over it, every moment that time is delayed. And so there are multiple reasons why the BQE is in the condition it's in. There are multiple solutions that people have, all well-intended, and many of which can't be done because of other infrastructure challenges that exist in the way that the city was constructed when the BQE was erected. The fact is, I come back to those statements from Commissioner Gutman, former Commissioner Gutman, is that no matter what decision is made, no one's going to be unanimously in support. And so if you change the focus into what's going to be the best solution to cause the least amount of harm and injury to the community, then I guess that's the right path to kind of lane the work through. Having said that, it is important for everyone on this phone and beyond to continue to be a voice, continue to be vigilant in expressing the concerns that this project will face and trying to mitigate the risk to the community that will be impacted by this. So one of the things that I always bring to the front of mind is, the timing in which repairs are done and how those things are done, because you can't have an overflow into streets that were not designed and built to take on 70,000 vehicles a day. The streets were not made for that. Furthermore, you don't want any impediment to residential areas when, as an example, emergency services are needed. No one wants to be impacted because an emergency service vehicle couldn't get to someone in dire need because there's an overflow of traffic. And we see that all through our community board too. Those are some of the things that are unique to our challenges and our district. And so a lot of meetings have taken place. Hopefully many of you had a chance to attend last night's meeting. If you didn't, hopefully you were able to get synopsis from different information that's out on different social media platforms. But what I am pleased to say is that there's a lot of people, particularly with this community visioning council, that are in earnest working to try to do the right thing. And I think if anything comes away from this, nothing can be frowned upon when the community is involved with city agencies, all with the same intent to want to do the right thing. And so I hope everybody holds on to that as something that's positive out of this process. More to come. We're a long ways away from a true solution and implementation, but I'm encouraged to see the collaboration that's been taking place so far. So that's the first item on my report. Second item is, as we enter these winter months, please do what we can within the resources provided to us, that if you see individuals who are dealing with wellness issues, homelessness issues, let's make those calls to the agencies, particularly 311, to provide people with the support they need. Let's not just walk past them. Let's not, as I said before in the previous meeting, let's not try to do something that feels good for one day like Thanksgiving. This is something that we should try to do every day. And so if you see individuals who are at need, please don't walk past them. Do what you can to provide support. Now, when I say support, I don't mean supporting habits or feeling like you need to be compelled to buy people dinner or give funds. That's a personal decision. What I'm talking about is a more long-term decision that let's work through 311 and the agencies that we know provide support to make sure that these individuals have a long-term solution, not a short-term solution. Next, we're coming into a season where colds, flus, other viruses are taking place. I encourage everyone to let's be diligent about that. Another reason why we're meeting again tonight virtually. We need to be careful. So I ask everyone to exercise extreme caution, particularly as we get to a point where you want to be with family members. Let's try to be careful about how we engage, who we engage with. Let's try to mask up. Hopefully no one got rid of all those digital thermometers, pull them out, get the batteries. It's time to put them back to use. I don't want to panic anyone, but we're not out of the woods yet. That's just a fact. And then last but not least, I want to thank all of the board members who have emailed me about their interest in following up on my last ask for representatives to serve as CB2 placeholders for different organizations that exist within the district. So for example, the different business improvement districts, representation from different stakeholder organizations, CB2, as part of the bylaws of many organizations, have a standing seat on many boards. And so a full complement of staff in the office, as well as the executive officers of the board, is still not enough to fill all the seats. And so I'm soliciting feedback. I want to thank those who've responded to emails thus far. And hopefully in the new year, at least within the month of January, we'll be able to have representation throughout. And then we'll have an opportunity for us to get together and walk through what I'm hoping to get as far as reports, so that as you are representing CB2, you can generate a report, facilitate that information back to the office, and then that way we can share it with the board members in the community so that people are aware of what's taking place on these different stakeholder groups. So with that, that concludes my report, the chairperson's report for this evening. I'm going to pause because I said a lot, to see if anybody has any questions before we move to agenda item number 6. If you do have a question, if you would just raise your hand electronically. I think we've all been doing Zoom and virtual meetings enough now to know how to do that. So if you do it that way, it's easy for me to recognize you. If you have a question, now is the time to ask. Fantastic. I'm happy when no one has questions. Next item on the agenda is elected officials and dignitaries. We're going to start with elected officials, not those who are representing elected officials, but elected officials. If there aren't elected officials in person, then we'll go to their representatives. Just give me a second. Let me just peruse and see who is on representing this evening. Okay, great. So in this case, let me start with the representatives. I'm going to start with Daniel, representing the Brooklyn Borough President's Office.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well and happy holidays. Just a quick recap of some things we did this past month and also some events and resources coming up. So in November, we handed out over 500 Born in Brooklyn baby boxes to new parents. We also launched a multilingual, multimedia public education campaign to help Brooklynites prepare for healthy pregnancy. As you know, community board application season is upon us. Applications went live on the 15th. If you know other people who would like to apply or you yourself need to reapply, please do so and please spread the word. We gave out turkeys and Thanksgiving fixings. Pardon me, I know a lot of you guys had resource events of your own, so thank you everyone who gave back. It's so important. On the 22nd, we will be having a Hanukkah event at the Borough Park JCC that is open to all. We also recently had a tree lighting here outside of Borough Hall. And in the new year, on January 10th, we will be having a State of the Borough address at City Tech, which is in CB2 in downtown Brooklyn. It's open to the public. We actually have quite a few RSVPs already, so if you'd like to come, please RSVP as soon as possible. I'll put the link in the chat along with my contact info if you guys need to connect with Borough Hall following this. So thank you for your time, for giving me time to speak, and happy holidays.
Thank you, Daniel. Same to you. Next up, I'm going to call on Andrew, representing Councilmember Hudson.
Thanks, Chair Singletary. First off, I want to thank a lot of folks on this call for making some of our most recent events so successful. Most recently this past Saturday, our office, in addition with District Leader Shaquana Boykin, hosted a cleanup of the BQE. We got so many great messages afterward and already earlier this week about how clean it looked and how fantastic it was, and of course messages that they wish it was always that way. And so I want to say thanks to folks who are on this call who volunteered, for Taya for helping out with that, but also to let folks know that we're going to continue doing community cleanups. So if you have any suggestions of locations, please send them my way, and then we'll be sure to slot them in our lineup. I also want to thank folks for our asylum seeker drive. We are just wrapping up actually giving the donations to families, to shelters, schools, etc. Our entire office was basically boxes and boxes and boxes of clothes, supplies, and we really couldn't have done it without the support of folks like y'all on this call at CB2 and across the district. So I just want to first thank folks for that. And in terms of new stuff coming up, I've mentioned this before, but we'll be kicking off the Atlantic Avenue rezoning process. Chair Singletary and Daughtry are on the steering committee for that. And essentially, I think it's probably going to be in January. We're going to have a public kickoff meeting where we explain what this looks like, what the corridor we're looking at is, how we envision the public input, et cetera. And as mentioned before, this is going to be a comprehensive rezoning. It's going to ensure that, you know, local communities are driving the process and that the city's actually planning for the influx of residential development in the area. So if you have any questions on that too, you can also email me about that. And additionally, this upcoming Saturday, we're hosting a toy drive at the Brooklyn Museum, at the museum. So if anyone has a toy to donate, we're looking for toys for kids ages, I guess, you know, babies to about 14. Please drop it off between now and Saturday. The event's going to be around 11. And then families can pick them up on a first come, first served basis between 12 and 3 o'clock on Saturday. Additionally, I think I plug these every time I'm here, but just want to make sure folks know we have a housing specialist in our office every Wednesday, 12:30 to 6:30. So any housing issues any folks have, please send them our way. We can help them apply for affordable housing lotteries, get them signed up for various things, and affordability programs, et cetera. And then every Thursday, we have an attorney with CUNY Law School that offers in-office legal advice for constituents. It's consultation. He doesn't represent anyone, but it's really great if you have just questions about maybe your landlord or something going on that you just want to talk to an attorney about. He's here every Thursday from 12:30 to 6:30. And appointments are about 45 minutes long. So for both of those, if you'd like an appointment or know someone who would like an appointment, send me or our office a message. And then lastly, given Chair Singletary's note about, you know, COVID's still here, I just do want to say that if anyone needs boxes of masks or community groups need boxes of masks, please reach out to our office. We can get them for you and make sure that, you know, everyone's as safe as possible as we have this, you know, quadruple demic or whatever it is at this point. Going into the holiday season. So thank you again and wish everyone a happy holidays.
Thank you, Andrew. Hasra, are you clapping or you have a question? Hasra, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, Andrew, I have some toys that I would like to donate to the office. I will communicate with you or Crystal offline.
Great, send me a note.
I have
offline.
about 25 pieces. Okay.
Thank you, Hasra. Next, I'm going to call on Arvind from Councilmember Restler's office.
Hi, Chair Singletary. I think Lincoln will be joining in just a few minutes. So maybe if you want to proceed with other agenda items, we can.
Sure. So we'll come back to the council member in a second.
And I sent him a text, so he'll be on just shortly.
Okay, you let us know when he joins. We'll proceed now. So we're going to proceed with Anthony Herbert, who's the Borough Director from the Office of the Mayor's Community Assistance Unit.
Thank you,
Tony,
Mr.
how are you?
How's it going?
Good.
Happy holidays, everybody. It's been a minute, just running around, got a lot going on. So I'll try to be as brief as possible to make sure that there's time for everybody else. The mayor just reinstituted the Dusk and Darkness campaign. He relaunched it, and the mayor announced the return of the city's annual Dusk and Darkness traffic enforcement and education campaign to keep pedestrians, cyclists, and all road users safe during fall and winter evenings, especially after the end of the daylight savings time. In addition to that, he also, on election day, helped to push forward with New York City voters and overwhelmingly supported 3 ballot proposals to advance racial justice and equity for all. It includes the establishment of the Office of Racial Equity, the Get Stuff Clean initiative he pushed through, which is aimed to upgrade city cleanliness. Mayor Adams announced $14.5 million and new funding to create a cleaner city through a major upgrade to cleanliness protocols across the 5 boroughs. The Get the Stuff campaign initiative will invest that amount of money this fiscal year alone to clean more than 1,000 no man's lands, neglected areas around the city, increase litter basket service, expand camera enforcement against illegal dumping, and bring on additional rat exterminators, resulting in faster, more reliable cleaning of every corner of the city. He also made steps to help New Yorkers access high quality housing more quickly, move from streets to permanent homes. The mayor also unveiled a vision for Willard's Point out in Queens. And mind you, he's doing a lot of stuff in the borough, but I'm going to focus on Brooklyn for now. The mayor signed bills to provide support for survivors of domestic and gender-based violence. In addition, he signed bills to improve diversity within the FDNY. Mayor Adams also announced new clinical co-response teams deployed in New York City subways to respond to those with serious mental health issues, as well as an enhanced training in partnership with New York State for all first responders to compassionately care for those in crisis. Also, he's big on small businesses in our city and also the promotion of small business services. So he's encouraging New Yorkers and visitors to support all small businesses. And for every $3 spent at a local small business, 2 stays in the community. And that's why we want to make sure we encourage folks to support our small business owners. The Mayor's Office of Media and Entertainment is promoting local bookstores this holiday season as well. All of this information you can get at newyorkcity.gov. You can actually just hit the press releases. I'll give you an outline of a lot more of what the mayor is doing. And just to reflect, I want to thank Hazra. Hazra very much supported the mayor's campaign we held on this past Monday in Grand Army Plaza, where we gave out over 2,000 toys to 1,300 young people from various city shelters around the area. We had Santa Claus, the fire department participated along with the NYPD. We had 9 mounted police horsemen. They served as our reindeers along with 9 motorcycles provided from the highway. And the kids were ecstatic because they had both Mr. and Mrs. Claus. So it was an awesome event. So again, Hazra, thank you for your support. And Mr. Chair, that would be the conclusion of this report.
Thank you. Next up, Arvin, is the council member here?
I don't see him on just
Okay,
yet.
fantastic. So next up, I'm going to call on Stacy from Senator Kavanagh's office.
Hi, good evening, everyone. This is my last meeting. I keep saying goodbye to you guys, but this is the last one. So I just thought I would.
Really the last one, or you gonna come back in January? All right, just
Maybe. I mean, if someone has an issue that I was a part of, I'd come back in January. But I thought I would just share some legislative updates because the session is beginning obviously here in January, and Senator Kavanagh is really focused on the All Electric Buildings Act, which is already a law in the city, but this would just extend it to New York State. So trying to get to lower emissions overall, and also the housing access voucher program. So those are 2 big things that he's working on this session. And some bills from last session that should be getting signed any day. So we have hopes that a handful of bills are going to get the governor's signature. And those include, there's a bill that basically means that if you live in a formerly Mitchell-Lama building, that you can get scree and dree. So I guess it used to be that if a Mitchell-Lama building privatized and you were still a renter in the new Mitchell-Lama, in the private building, that you couldn't access scree or dree. So this bill would allow any renters in privatized Mitchell-Lama buildings to access the scree and dree benefit. And then there's another one that's waiting for a signature that we're hoping is going to get signed, and it's for affordable housing operators to make sure that they get the voucher amount. So if a resident or a tenant has a voucher, let's say a Section 8 voucher, let's say that's for $1,500, but it's a rent stabilized apartment that's only $1,100, that the operator of the building, the landlord, would get the higher amount. So it's just to make sure that the voucher holders are going to get equal access, and the landlords are going to be happy to have them as renters. So that's just another it's like a detail, but it's a good bill to make sure that the governor signs. And there's another one that lowers the voter registration deadline to 10 days before an election, and that also should be getting signed hopefully soon by the governor. And also lastly, there was a deed theft hearing almost a month ago now. And so the hearing was pretty intense and very sad because deed theft is a pretty terrible situation. But because of the hearing, the office, our team in Albany is working really hard to come up with legislative solutions to deed theft. And so we're also working on that pretty hard this session.
Thank you, Stacy.
Sure.
Next up, I'm going to call on, I just saw. Allison, there you go. You put your camera back on. Allison from Assemblywoman Joanne Simon's office.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you all tonight. So just a couple legislative updates. The governor has signed one of Assemblymember Simon's bills that would require state contractors and vendors to comply with the web content accessibility guidelines. So everybody's able to access the information they need online. Additionally, the governor signed her bill that would increase protections for nursing home residents should a nursing home decide to close. And then, just like many of our other colleagues, our office is also doing a toy drive. So we're collecting toys tomorrow, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. You could drop them off anytime from 9:30 to 5. I'll put our address in the chat. And if you have any questions about the toy drives or you want to arrange for a different time to drop things off, you can reach out to me. And then, as everyone has said, we are seeing an uptick in the number of cases, flu and RSV. So please feel free to come by our office this week or next week to pick up COVID tests before you gather with your friends and family for the holidays. We don't have a limit on how many you can take, so please come and get some. And that's all I have for this evening. I hope everyone has a happy holidays and a good new year.
Thank you. Same to you. Tyler, do I see you on the line? Representing Senator Gounardes. Thought I saw Tyler, maybe I don't.
Hello, everyone.
So,
this is State Senator Andrew Gounardes. Now, can you hear me? Hello?
oh, you're here in person. Oh, okay.
I'm here in person. I have
It's
not
good
had
to
the
see
chance
you.
to come. I have not had a chance to come. Oh, one second. I'm sorry. Hi, lady. I have not had
I
a
hope
chance
that's
to
a
come.
constituent.
It's the most important constituent of all. Right? Hi, everyone. I am Andrew Gounardes. I've had I think I know some of you here. And for those of you that don't know, effective January, my new district, which will go from Bay Ridge to Dumbo, or actually Vinegar Hill, will now encompass a bunch of neighborhoods in CB2. Yes? You want to say hi to everybody? You want to come say hi? Oh, no. Okay. So a bunch of neighborhoods in CB2. And so I really look forward to working with you all in the years ahead. I've been in the state Senate for the last 4 years. My old district went from Bay Ridge to Marine Park. Now I go from Bay Ridge to Vinegar Hill. But before I got elected to the state Senate, I worked at the Borough President's office for 5 years as the general counsel. And in that capacity, I spent a lot of time working with community boards all across the borough, with community board members, with district office staff, borough board, district council meetings, borough council meetings, et cetera. So I have a great appreciation and familiarity with the role that you all play and how important your role. Yes. You want to come say hi? Yeah. You want to come say hi? Okay, let's come say hi. You want to come say hi? Okay, say hi. Say hi, everybody. Say hi. Yay. The role you all in the government and representing your communities. And before I worked with was a community board member of Community Board 10. So I've lived your experience also. And so I just want to pop on to say a quick hello to everyone. Really look forward to joining you all in person sometime soon to get to meet you all. My staff will be on these calls or on these meetings whenever I'm in Albany. I can't be there. And if you ever need anything from me, you can always reach out to my office. I will put our contact information in the chat once I put the little one down here. So you always know how we are reaching us. We're in the process of relocating our office to move it more centrally located within the district. We don't have a final location yet, but once we do, I'll be sure to let you all know and share that information with you as well. And I hope you all just have a great, happy and healthy holiday season and look forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you for attending in person with your wonderful constituent and hope to see more of you. Next, we're going to call on Councilmember Lincoln Restler.
Chair Singletary and all of the members of CB2, it is great to see you. Happy holidays. Hope everybody is doing well and in good health. I just left the Brooklyn Heights Association 70th annual tree lighting, which was really special. So it's great to all be together there. And it is a chilly night, but hope everybody is in good shape. Just a few key updates on our end. One is, and I think we've shared updates along the way here, but we have officially approved the 280 Bergen rezoning. and really want to thank the community board for their thoughtful feedback along the process, and thank Daughtry and Sid in particular for working with us and the developer along the way to get to a better outcome. Ultimately, we landed at 450 units of housing, half of which is affordable housing, and really truly affordable housing. We're going to have a new senior building and a building for low-income families. We're also going to have a brand new affordable supermarket, which is great because the local C-Town that serves the local NYCHA developments is going to be closing in the next few years. And we also were able to adopt the community board's recommendation, and the developer has applied for a parking waiver, so no new parking is going to be built at this new development. So I want to thank the community board for their partnership and leadership. I always really appreciate working with all of you. A couple holiday related updates. I hope everyone's been enjoying the market at Borough Hall, the holiday market, which I think has been a great success, and it's great to see the space activated beyond just the green market. And I think, hope that people can do some of their holiday shopping there in the days ahead. Like Joanne's team mentioned, we're doing a big toy drive also that we're distributing to the NYCHA developments across our district. So please drop toys off at our office anytime, 9 to 5 at 410 Atlantic, or I'll be out at the Borough Hall Green Market on Saturday from 9 to 1. We'll be collecting toys, but feel free to come by and talk to me about any local issues as well. We've been really trying to work with the Department of Sanitation and the police department to see more alternate side parking compliance. This morning, we did a ASP blitz in Brooklyn Heights, and I was out there myself with sanitation supervisors trying to get more compliance and issuing tickets as necessary to ensure that folks are allowing our streets to get cleaned, which is critically important. I wanted to also highlight an event we did last week at the St. Charles Jubilee Senior Center over on Pierpont Street with the MTA to try and help seniors acclimate to the new Omni system. I know it's a big change for seniors to move away from Metro cards. They were probably still adjusting away from tokens. So Omni is I think easy for younger folks who are accustomed to doing everything on their phone. But we want to help, especially our seniors, with this transition, and folks are unbanked. So if anybody's interested in doing an event with us in the MTA to learn more about Omni, especially people who have subsidized benefits or access to subsidized fares, let us know. We're really happy to help in any way. We also wanted to just make sure folks in the community are aware. We advocated, and SBS agreed to grant $100,000 to the Atlantic Avenue bid and $50,000 to the Montague Street bid as part of their small bid grant program, which we're really excited about. Our small bids are always short on resources. We also recently approved expansions of the Court Livingston Skirmerhorn bid budget and the Dumbo bid budget, so that those bids have the resources they need to keep our streets clean and advocate for our small businesses. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention on the BQE, I know it's front of mind for a lot of folks in CB2. I was at the presentation last night. Senator A.Gounardes and Assemblymember Simon and Congressman Alec Bolden and I have been, had 2 meetings with the DOT over the last week. And I should just say it's a pleasure to follow Andrew. He's going to be a tremendous state senator for us. And he's already been a great member of the state Senate for a number of years. And we're really lucky to have him in Brownstone, Brooklyn. But the 4 of us are working together and trying to, do our best to collectively represent the concerns of the community with a unified voice. We're meeting with the BQET Coalition tomorrow and are eager to, get as much feedback as we can on what folks are thinking about the proposals. It's clear to me that the status quo is totally unacceptable. And if we're going to undertake 8 or 10 or 12 years of construction, we have to have a much better outcome for our community that is sensible for the climate realities that we're facing, that mitigate the noise issues, the vibrations issues, all the challenges the BQE has, all the havoc that the BQE has really wrecked in our community for the last 70 years. So you can count on our focused and active advocacy on that one. Please let me know if you have any thoughts or concerns, and Arvind, as always, is on here from my team. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but really appreciate the chance to just say hi and wish everyone a happy holidays.
Thank you, Councilmember. Happy holidays to you as well.
Thank you, Leonard.
And John Watkins, representing the Kings County District Attorney.
Good evening, everyone. And I'll be very brief, but first of all, I would like to direct you to the Brooklyn DA's website, brooklynda.org. And a few of the things that I'll mention tonight can be followed up on the website. First of all, D.A. Gonzalez sends his well wishes during this holiday season. Today, he, along with the community, people who are invited from the community, as well as the staff and other elected officials, including NYPD. The DA hosted his Jewish Heritage celebration at the Brooklyn Law School. It was very, very well attended, and he was able to express his sentiments and his concerns and his well wishes to our Jewish community. Following up on that is the DA's hosting this Saturday the DA's gun buyback effort. That will be at Saturday, December 17th at the Cornerstone Baptist Church. That's on Madison Street. So we do encourage persons who may have or know of persons who have firearms that they would like to turn in. And there's cash cards, gift cards that will be given up to $500 per weapon. And explicit details can be found on the website, brooklynda.org. It gives all the information. Also, please go to our website and check our press releases. Today, there was a press release that just came out about a long-term investigation of a young resident of Brooklyn who's only 17 years old, who was shot and killed 5 years ago by a gang member who was out searching for another rival gang member. This young man was only 17, remarkable student, had everything going for him, and was shot and killed in a mistaken identity. And so that killer has been brought to justice. And so please visit our website, brooklynda.org, to find out more about that. Sometimes these cases take many years, but please know that the DA and his team are always on it, and sooner or later, the long arm of the law will definitely fall heavily down on these perpetrators. That's all I have to say for this evening. Happy holidays to everyone, and looking forward to seeing you all in the new year. Thank you.
Great, thank you, John. Good, thank you for participating. So now we're gonna move on. I don't see any other elected officials. So we're gonna move on to community, city agencies and community partners. I'm going to remind everyone that we're changing the agenda a little bit, but brevity is still welcome. So please be brief. I don't want to have to shut your mic off. So with that, we're going to start with our friends from the Brooklyn Public Library. And I think with that, I'll start with who's from the library? Who wants to go first? Kate, are you on? Kat, are you on?
She was just here. We might have lost her, Chair Singletary.
Okay. Is there anybody else from the Brooklyn Public Library that would like to speak? All right, so we're going to move on. I know my good friend Richard is never lost for words. So Richard, are you on?
Yes, Chairperson Singletary. Good evening, Chairperson Singletary, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Morrow, and I'm the Greater New York Red Cross Community Relations Ambassador for Community Board 2. Around the country, there are presently 38 disaster relief operations. 34 are in the midsection and eastern region of a country. All are climate change related. This week, locally, we assisted 170 adults, 40 children, following 55 fire disaster responses. This holiday season, 2022, according to a new government report, there are over 6 million Americans who are unemployed through no fault of their own. 21% of American children and 67% of our senior citizens live in poverty. The USDA reported that 2.5 million families were unable to afford nutritional food. In New York City, nearly half, 47% of families in low-income households live below the poverty line. It is said that the essential quality of giving is compassion. This holiday season is a time of giving. You may want to consider donating blood to the Red Cross or your local hospital. Blood donations are critical at this time of the year. Reach out to a senior person or family in your neighborhood and bring them a cake and well wishes. Contribute to your local food pantry, food kitchen, or group that deals with the homeless. A $10 donation can make a world of difference. Get your whole family involved. James Baldwin wrote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." A reminder, the Red Cross virtual and in-person programs can help you and our community. Our courses are free and deal with the disaster self-help preparedness. Please check out our website, redcross.org, for details and to view our programs. We at the Red Cross wish you, your family, and friends a thoughtful and healthy Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next, I'm going to go back to my friend from the Brooklyn Library, Kat.
Hi, thank you so much, Chair Singletary. Thank you so much, Community Board 2. Sorry, I was a little engaged at the moment when I got called on, but here I am. I think I'm the only one this evening from the library. A lot of my colleagues were closing up the branches and heading on back to the Zoom land. So I'm going to share a few general things and then some branch specific things. So it's the end of the year. Brooklyn Public Library has released our 125 most borrowed books over our 125 years. And the #1 spot is a Brooklyn author, Maurice Sendak, Where the Wild Things Are. This, we've been promoting this a lot. You may have heard an interview with our president and CEO, Lyndon Johnson, on NPR a couple weeks ago. So that's one thing, sort of a celebratory thing. Another thing that we're doing system-wide, we are looking for volunteers to help children improve their reading skills. So folks can help children ages 5 to 11 years old expand their vocab and strengthen their comprehension skills. You know, we're seeing as we've come back into schools after pandemic, there's been a reported drop off on, some of those reading scores, and BPL is here to help bring those up. So if you're interested in volunteering, please reach out to your local branch. Please reach out to volunteer services. I'm going to say a number real quick, 718-230-2406. And then I also wanted to announce there's a free virtual medical billing and e-records certification training, which is presented in partnership with the SUNY Brooklyn Educational Opportunity Center. And this is a free 15-week intensive medical billing and e-records class for spring 2023. So that spring semester will begin in February, and the in-person classes are 6 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday 10 to 1 p.m. So this is a great, super quick way to get your certification. And for more information, we've got that number, once again, 718-622-4460. I'm going to bop over really quickly to go through our branches, right? So I'm from the Adams Street Library in Dumbo, serving the Vinegar Hill, Dumbo, and Farragut communities. And I just wanted to shout out a couple of our programs. We're doing a mindful origami with a wonderful artist every Wednesday from 3 to 5, and that's for adults. We offer a lot of things for kids, so I'm always happy to offer a meaningful program for adults. Speaking of kids, we've also just started offering homework help, and that will include reading help every Tuesday afternoon to kids in the neighborhood. Yesterday we had 4 kids coming out, and this was only our second one needing help. And because I have to talk about all 4 branches, let me keep on going. The Walt Whitman Library is having their friends meeting, their first official friends meeting tomorrow at 6 o'clock. The Clinton Hill Library, as we all know from Tracy, is always doing really amazing things. So I'd encourage you to check out their calendar.
Tracy's on, by the way.
Tracy's on.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. And I don't believe Rachel's here yet, but the Brooklyn Heights Library is one of, the most beautiful branches here. Please stop by if you haven't been able to check it out. And I will say it is, of our 4 branches, the only branch that's offering Sunday service. So that's 1 to 5 p.m. on Sundays, which I think is just a really crucial thing to have in the district. So I'll toss it over to Tracy so she can carry on.
Hi, everyone. I just got in. So anyway, we are going to be having homework help on Wednesdays from 3 to 6 and Saturdays from 11 to 2, starting in January. We are also going to be taking a 2-week break from our kids programs, but they'll be restarting in January. On January 19th, we're having a fused glass Valentine's Day craft program for adults. And we will also be having another introduction to macrame class on January 23rd, backed by popular demand. So the kids programs will be taking a break for January, but they will, December, but they'll be back in January. We'll also be restarting our computer classes with our tech in January also. So we're going to be quiet for the next couple of weeks, but we'll be back to our usual programs with additional ones in January. And it looks like Rachel isn't here yet, so I'm just going to wish everyone a happy December, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you to our friends from the library, and sincere appreciations for the very extensive and brief update. So thank you. Next, we're going to call on Giovanni from Impact Brooklyn. Giovanni, are you on mute or are you present? All right, proceeding with the agenda, we're now up to committees for action. The first committee to present is Health, Environment, and Social Services.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brandon Smith. Happy holidays. I'm the chair of the Health, Environment, Social Services Committee. I'm honored to have as a co-chair, Ms. Nicole McKnight. And just last week, we had our December Health, Environment, Social Services Committee meeting. Maybe intrigued to know we only had one liquor license. Before I get into that, I do just want to remind everyone and echo the chair's comments that at the HES committee, you know, we do a great COVID update every single month. And this month, more than any other, is the month that I really want to encourage folks to be vigilant. As our amazing member, Ms. Nadu, pointed out at our committee meeting, every year for the past 2 years, there has been a spike in New York City in COVID cases around right this time. So now is the time to wear a mask, get your bivalent vaccination, and take precautions, particularly when you're around elderly family members. So with that said, I'm going to go into my one liquor license from our meeting. This was an application for a vessel license. The location is 159 Bridge Park Drive. It's called New York City by Boat. It's located down at Pier 5 in Brooklyn Bridge Park, and it's effectively a power boat that has about 6 to 10 seats worth of people. The operator has been operating out of Manhattan and effectively using the boat as a 6-person charter boat and doing BYOB with folks, and for about a 2-hour experience where they go all around New York City and see all the sights and return back to the dock. The hours of operation are going to be from 12 noon to 12 a.m. Daily. The operator posted in numerous places and had 5 letters of support from members of the community. There were no members of the community who came to the meeting or expressed any concern or opposition to the application. We had a pretty lengthy discussion at the committee about the operator's protocols in terms of handling potentially intoxicated patrons, handling the number of passengers. While the operator has had just himself and as captain and 6 people on the boat up to till now, he said when he gets the license next year, he's going to add a host, so there'll be somebody else there to monitor the rest of the people on board the boat. He's not going to do the BYOB any longer, and I believe I hit all the points from that. But upon hearing all the information and discussing this, the committee voted in favor of the application 6-0-1. And as I said at the beginning, that was the only new liquor license for the meeting. So I'll be happy to take any questions or a motion from there.
So we've heard the committee's report. I'll entertain a motion to accept the committee's recommendation. Mr.
So
Jordan,
move.
second with Mr. Gordon. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none or seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand or indicate aye. All right. All right, let's take our hand. Let's take your hands down, okay?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Is there anyone abstaining? Jessica, by my count, that would indicate unanimous. Okay, all right, good. Motion carries. Does that conclude your report, Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Next committee for action, land use.
Thank you very much, Chair Lenny. Just like let everybody know again, thanks to Karen Johnson, our secretary, who has worked hard and does a lot of double duty and, and doing the minutes and taking care of her family and business. Dr. Christopher is our co-chair and I'm Carlton Gordon. We had 3 Landmark Preservation Commission certificates of appropriateness, and here we are. First one was an 8 Montague Terrace over in Brooklyn Heights. And it was work on the rear, it's a landscaping. It's when you may have passed it if you take a little walk along the Brooklyn Heights Promenade. And the proposed work is would be seen from the promenade and also from Montague Street as well. Basically, it's to do some work on landscaping that backyard, their backyard area, in which there will be new lighting, some new fencing, and especially new copper planters that would be going around both to the front of the building and around, so to make things a little bit better. And we liked what we saw. We did vote in favor of it 11-0-0, but with the provision that the size of the proposed planters were quite large, and we asked that they reduce the size of it so they just really didn't interfere with the I guess the beauty and the proposal of the landscaping of the area in the back. So we approved that one as well on that one. Next one is 36 Pierpont Street, also in Brooklyn Heights. And this one is work that's being done around in the fronts. We'll be doing, let's see now, yes. They'll be doing work on the fire escapes. They'll be doing work to fix it up. They'll be doing some work on the rooftop, which of course can be seen as well from the work on the exterior. They'll be doing some work on, I guess on the block, yeah. So they'll be doing work along the terrace, and just to get it in more presentable shape. The interesting thing about this the house, is that it was built in 1846. And we like the work that was proposed, and we approved it 9-1-1. We now move over to Bourne Hill at 398 Pacific Street. And it was, yes. Also, which is, and also 400, because this is a double. Now, what they were asking for on this one was a extension of the rear into the, what we call the donut or the back. And more important, there would be some, not only just some work in the front, but they would do some work as a proposed garage that would be at this new, at the, let's say 400, which is at this point an empty space. Now, some of the work was small in comparison, but our biggest concern were the extension into the donut. We felt was large, and most important, we felt that because of the proposed garage, that it would be a curb cuts, and this particular block does not have any curb cuts on it, and the committee felt that this is something that really should. We were trying to see if we could preserve this particular square block from any possible curb cuts. So we disapproved it, emotional was to disapprove it. Was it? Yes. I just was trying to get the numbers on it. Yes, no. 731, yeah. On 731 was the final decision on, so that was to disapprove it. We did hear from the Bourne Hill Association, which was very concerned about that particular thing, and they have are willing to work with the applicant, the architect, and the owner to see if maybe they can come up with something perhaps a little bit more acceptable to the community. So those are the three that we have at this time. And we ask for your approval of all three items.
Before I ask for a
For our
motion,
decision. Okay.
before I ask for a motion, is there anyone who objects to doing this as one whole slate? Seeing no objection, hearing no objection, I entertain the committee's recommendation to accept recommendations for 8 Montague, 36 Pearpoint, and 398 and 400 Pacific Street.
So move.
Mr. Jordan, second.
I'll second.
Daughtry, any discussion on the motion? Barbara?
I just had a question. The last one we were looking at, Daughtry put something in the chat. So is one of these buildings actually a new building? It's going to be built, it's not there now?
The 400 Pacific is an empty lot, and that was part of the proposal for 398 Pacific. Right now, it's an open lot right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand or indicate aye. Okay, great. You can take your hands down. You can take your hands down. That's the button that says lower your hand. You can click that. Sarah, thank you. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, unanimous. Rachel, you're abstaining? Okay, so Rachel's abstaining. Jessica, we're good? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda, committees to report. We'll start with economic development and employment.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. I'm Bill Flanoy. I'm the chair of the Economic Development and Employment Committee. My co-chair is Denise Peterson, and my secretary is Catherine Gilman. We had a meeting December 6th. The New York City Independent Budget Office actually did a presentation and question and answer Q&A was about the economic impact of newly arrived asylum seekers on New York City's budget. That presentation was given by George Sweeting, the acting director of IBO. So I'm just going to hit the high points, not go into discussion. If everyone wants to go into discussion, you can actually listen to watch the video. Currently, right now, we have about 23,800 asylum seekers who have entered New York City as of early November. We're expecting another 10,000 asylum seekers to come in over the next period of time. The only thing that may be an issue is Title 42, okay, but that may be actually rescinded as of the end of December. Most of these individuals, these asylum seekers, are coming in from Venezuela, okay, because of the circumstances going on in Venezuela. The costs involved in this is about $596 million for shelter, public school, health services, and immigration legal services. Majority of that, 580 million, is primarily for shelter. With the additional 10,000 that they're expecting to come in, we can see another 246 million for these additional asylum seekers. By the way, New York City is legally responsible to provide shelter and limited care to asylum seekers who need it. Okay, so this is something that is mandated by law. So what I'm looking at as far as the numbers are concerned, for public education, the costs for these individuals basically is about 48 million for the students that are coming in. We're looking at approximately a number of asylum seekers that are going to be in schools, or about 5,850 total. And that cost is broken down accordingly, but it comes down to about $8,240 per student. For basic medical costs, which basically isn't that much, they're looking at COVID-19 tests, COVID-19 vaccines, and basic health care per person. We're looking at approximately $42,126,000. Okay. And as far as legal costs are concerned, legal costs are just basic costs to let them know what they need to know about coming in to ask for asylum. They're looking at about $100 per transaction. So for about 23,800 people, that's only $2,380,000. So that's where the costs are coming in. And for the most part, some of this money is going to be reimbursed by FEMA. Some of the money will be reimbursed by the Emergency Food and Shelter Program. The problem with this is currently right now, there's only a limited amount of money for the entire country. For the entire country, there's only $280 million, and it's very competitive to get those grants. So for the most part, New York City is going to take on most of the cost for this, and so far we can handle it pretty well. Okay, but going forward, you know, the costs are pretty substantial. And right now, that's my report.
Thank you, Bill. Next committee to report is Finance and Personnel. Lenny, you're next. I think you're on mute. Finance and Personnel.
Chair Singletary, I think Mr. Jordan may be frozen.
Oh, that's why he didn't move. Okay.
Maybe we just lost him.
I thought he was intently listening in. I was like, his listening skills are amazing. Okay, we'll come back to Mr. Jordan in a minute. Next, we'll move on to
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, okay. All
I'm
right.
here.
All right. The floor is yours.
I'm
Mr.
sorry. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. I got knocked off.
It's all right.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leonard Jordan, and I'm the chair of the Finance and Personnel Committee, and vice chair is Mr. Brandon Smith. We met yesterday, matter of fact. And some of this is not etched in stone, although there was consensus with the committee on filling all of the positions all the vacancies that we have in the at the office right now, which includes an assistant district manager, a community associate, and a community assistant, which be part-time. Was had agreed that this is one of the things that these 3 positions we wanted to post probably during the December, January timeframe and do interviews during the January, February timeframe. Now, the reason why I say that this is not etched in stone because we certainly have to go through Borough Hall and there may be some other nuances that I'm not aware of that might hold us up, but this is what we want to do to move forward. We've been going quite some time. New district manager had joined us for the meeting, matter of fact, and I'm sure, as you all know, she's been, just running the office by herself. So we definitely are trying to get some assistance in and get the appropriate number of staff people in the office as soon as possible. Our next meeting is on January 26th, but we may be meeting before that. If depending on when these postings go out and when we can start to interview candidates. That was about it for the meeting. Oh, by the way, as far as any finances are concerned, we haven't really used any, we haven't had any expenditures because of the fact that, we haven't been meeting and the office is just actually, the office is, we, get our mail there and everything else, but we haven't been meeting there and anything. So there's nothing to report there. However, as we move forward, we are going to get, it won't be monthly, but per meeting, we'll have a tentative financial report to let you know, how our budget is allocated and what expenditures we have. That is all I have, Mr. Singletary. Thank you so much, everyone. And I wish everyone a blessed holiday season.
Thank you, Lenny. Same to you and your family. Next, we have Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Chair Singletary. Good evening. It's Barbara Zoller-Gringer, the chair, and my co-chair, Andrew Ostowecki, is here this evening as well. And before I forget, I also would like to wish everyone a very happy and safe and fulfilling holiday season and New Year. Sometimes you open an egg and there are 2 yolks in it. Well, tonight we have 2 meetings. Since our last general meeting, the Parks Committee has met twice. We met on November 14th and we had a presentation from the Parks Department concerning Anchorage Plaza, which is at Old Fulton Street and Prospect Street. Although this is park property, in 2009, DOT took over that space to use it as a staging area to make repairs on the Brooklyn Bridge. At the time they took it over, there was a parking lot concession in use there. DOT is scheduled to turn this area back to the Parks Department by the end of 2023. It will maintain a small part of the parcel for emergencies. So the Parks Department is about to issue an RFEI, which is a request for expressions of interest for ideas for how the space could be used. They're looking for an entity that will supply the funding for a project. And since DOT could need space to access the bridge in an emergency, the Parks Department is looking for suggestions for non-permanent seasonal installations. So if you have some ideas and you know how to fund them, watch for this proposal and submit your proposal. Attendees at our meeting include members of a variety of neighborhood organizations from Dumbo, and the residents there are particularly interested in the development of this area because, as you know, Dumbo is frequently flooded with visitors, and they're hoping that this area would not encourage additional visitors to the area. And I think the message both from those folks and from our committee members was loud and clear that once these proposals are received, we're inviting the Parks Department to come back and speak to our committee, speak to the board, solicit opinions from the neighborhood so that whatever project is adopted will really be truly representative of what the neighborhood and public wants for that area. Then we met just Monday night, and again, this was a triple yolk egg. Okay, we had 3 presentations. The first one was from the Urban Park Rangers. We had an Urban Park Ranger Sergeant report, and these Urban Park Rangers are more so in parks rather than playgrounds. Their function is really education and connecting the public with the parks. They're, you may know them from Fort Greene. They're up in the visitor center there. And in fact, they are holding a tour of the monument on Saturday. They're also in Prospect Park, Marine Park. They also are involved in environmental enforcement through education. They run all sorts of programs. Most of them are free. Some are charged. They have a summer camp program. They look after animal conditions. They're also they're in the summer, they're at Commodore Barry Park around the pool. They host a program on abolitionist history on Juneteenth at Cadman Plaza. And so look out for them. They're friends of the parks, and they've been around since 1979. And they're really park ambassadors. And there are a few that are on horseback, but not at the moment. Then we had a presentation from Ridge Plaza Community Garden, which is run by the New York Restoration Group since 2017. The park has been there since 1975. They previously presented to our committee to tell us that they were in the design process for this community garden. They explained in detail the process they went through. They had at least 5 meetings. People giving input. They came up with 2 designs. Based on those designs, they wanted to be reflective of how the park is now and also to make it more welcoming. They combined the 2 designs, and the design you're looking at right now is the design that they are proposing. Some of their goals are creating a broader membership to take care of the garden, creating a few gardening beds, because right now it's really not, it's more of a place to go to relax. They also want to preserve the trees, and I go into more detail, but we issued a letter voted to present a letter of support. Now, since our meeting was only on Monday, there wasn't sufficient time for the board to vote on it this evening. So hopefully the executive committee will be able to review this on Monday, and then in January, the full board will be able to vote on this proposal. And I would say that they're aiming to start the work in October of 2023. So more of that to come. Then turning to Trinity Park, which is a 6-acre park right off of Manhattan Bridge, and is named for a group of nuns who were very active in that area. And very interestingly, had some people at the Parks Committee who remembered the start of the park and who were familiar with the nuns who provided community services and had taken part in those. So this is an area that has been severely neglected. There are cars parked in the area from volunteers from the Bridges Full campaign. They worked with the Partnership for Parks, and over the summer, there was a cleanup of the area. Even Council Member Restler was involved in it. And there, as I said, there are cars parked in the area. They're also concerned about two ramp areas and that are sort of duplicative and trying to, they will be at the transportation meeting, the next one in January, to talk about those ramps and those facilities. And I think there was a great support from the people present in getting this area up. This is Parks property, getting this area revived. And so I think we're going to be hearing more from this group and hopefully more from the Parks Department on this area. So that's my update. And again, I want to wish everyone a very safe and happy holiday. Thank you.
Committee to report Transportation and Public Safety. I don't believe Sid is on tonight. Mr. Quint, do you have a report? And I'm sorry, not Mr. Quint, Esther. I don't even think Esther's on either. The chair.
I'm
nobody-
here.
Oh, there
Esther's
we go.
there.
Come on, Esther.
We didn't have a meeting. Wait a minute, I messed this up before, John. We didn't have a meeting last month.
Excellent report, Esther. Thank you. Keep
Okay.
up the great work.
And we're not, I should just add, we're not meeting tomorrow, which is our normally scheduled date, because we're all committed to attending the virtual BQE meeting. There was a live meeting on Tuesday, but the first virtual meeting is going to be tomorrow. And if anybody from the board, forget the committee, didn't go to the live meeting, you should all, if you're interested in the whole BQE situation, sign on. And Taya has distributed or will again the place to get your credentials to sign on to the meeting tomorrow at 6:30.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to participate if your schedule will allow. I think the more informed we are about what the vision is from the city, and even to the state and federal components that make up what's needed for the BQE, the better we are as a community. So if your schedule will allow, please make the time to do so. Again, my compliments to the Transportation Committee for a very short and excellent report. Moving on to Youth, Education, and Cultural Affairs.
Good evening, everyone. Although we didn't meet in November, members of our committee attended two very important Zoom meetings. One was sponsored by the Civic Engagement Commission around engaging youth. And it was a very good presentation. Young people really presented well, their needs, their interests, their concerns, their participation. It was fabulous. But we really didn't need to be convinced that we want youth on our committees and youth voice, because we believe not only that the cliche that the young people are our future, but we want to engage people in their communities. So some members of our committee were on that, and then we'll just be discussing it with our full committee. And we're already working on new ways to recruit students. That has been our challenge, the recruiting. And recently we've just gotten students from independent schools, which of course is part of our community. But we really want students from our district, public schools and charter schools. So to have full equity of engagement and representation. So that's something you'll be hearing from us a lot. And the second issue is one, I think some of the older members of CB2 know that, I mean, not older, but longer standing members on our committees, on our board. When we rezoned the downtown, it was to be commercial, it then became residential. And for years, our priority was establishment of an elementary school to serve so many new people that were coming to the area. Things have changed apparently. So even though the new school in Albee Square is set to open in September of 23, and we were anticipating a robust conversation about zoning, we were told that a new high school wants to move in for 2 years. And there's, pros and cons. I don't have to go into all of that, but that's of concern. And we're going to be going to meetings and following it closely, because I know our board really believed that with an influx of so many people to downtown, we needed another elementary school. So then the question was asked, okay, they're going to be there 2 years. What happens after 2 years? And then we were told, well, they're looking to the Atlantic Yards Pacific Park, where there is a middle school that's supposed to go online in the following year. So again, all these new families and new students moving to Pacific Park area, they might not have the opportunity to go to that high school. And where will they go to middle school? So we're going to be very active in digging into these challenges and reporting to the full board and maybe getting letters or recommendations as our committees and board see fit. So I think this concerns us all because we did a lot of work to get these new schools for the residents of our community. And if it's a high school, that's a Brooklyn preference. It's not a zone school for the young people in the area. So that is my report. I wish everyone a wonderful, meaningful, and healthy holiday season. And see you, I guess some of you in executive and some of you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Next committee, well, actually, it's not a committee, it's an agenda item for election of board officers. And I'm going to turn it over to the chair of the nominating committee, Mr. Brandon Smith.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I am pleased to be joined by my co-chair, who I endeavor to live up to the massive reputation he has built in Community Board 2, Mr. John Quint. Thank you, Mr. Quint, for your guidance and support. I can't tell you how much I seriously appreciate that. I want to also just briefly thank the members of the nominating committee. We actually had a meeting in preparation for today's meeting, which, as I understand, is the first time we've done that in a while as a committee. And I really want to thank each of the members of the committee for their attendance and willingness to support in this important process where we elect our board officers every year. Going into the agenda item this evening, there was a report distributed with our tonight's agenda that goes into a little bit more detail about the plans for tonight's meeting, but I'm gonna launch into my spiel and appreciate everyone's attention. So as you know from the report in the packet, the nominations took place at the November meeting, and that was the only time to make nominations. With the exception of second vice chair, there was only one nominee for each office. Briefly addressing second vice chair, there were two nominations made for second vice chair, Ms. Melinda Rasco and Ms. Barbara Zayla-Gringer. Ms. Melinda Rasco has since withdrawn her nomination. So as is with the other nomination, with the other offices, we now have only one nominee for each office, and pursuant to the bylaws, I will announce each of the nominees and ask the secretary to elect each of them. Please hold your virtual applause. First, I report that the only nominee for chair is Mr. Lanu Singletary. I would like to now call on the secretary to cast the vote for Mr. Lanu Singletary.
Pursuant to the bylaws, I cast the vote of the entire board for the election of Lanu Singletary to the office of chair.
Thank you. Next, we have the only nominee for first vice chair is Mr. Leonard Jordan. I would like to now call on the secretary to cast the vote for Mr. Jordan.
Pursuant to the bylaws, I cast the vote of the entire board for the election of Leonard Jordan to the office of first vice chair.
Next, I have the only nominee for second vice chair is Ms. Barbara Zayla-Gringer. I would like to call on the secretary to cast the vote for Ms. Zayla-Gringer.
Pursuant to the bylaws, I cast the vote of the entire board for the election of Barbara Zayla-Gringer to the office of second vice chair.
And finally, I have one nominee for the office of secretary is Ms. Jessica Thurston. I would like to call on the secretary to cast the vote for Ms. Thurston.
Pursuant to the bylaws, I cast the vote of the entire board for the election of Jessica Thurston to the office of secretary.
Please be it known that the officers so elected will be sworn in January. Please join me in congratulating all of them with your virtual or animated or sort of applause. whatever's appropriate for our Zoom environment. All right. That concludes the committee's report. Thank you all very much.
So Brandon, your delivery is amazing. I love it. Let me just thank everyone for participating, but particularly for the members of the nominating committee. And I'm not going to single people out by name, but I do want to give a special thank you to the new board members who, you know, as they're still learning, jump right in and decided to want to accept the recommendation or the nomination or the ask, simply put, to be on the nominating committee. So I specifically want to thank you for that. It means a lot, but it also highlights your dedication. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Next item on the agenda is other business. Are there any board members that have any other business to be discussed this evening? Now, let me be clear when I say that. I'm not talking about announcements. I'm not talking about shout outs. We can do that in the chat. If there's anything that we need to discuss this evening, if you would raise your hand and then we'll call on business for the board. Mr. Gordon, you're on mute.
Thank you, Chair Lanning. Now, actually, I saw on television that there was a hack of Brooklyn Hospital's I guess all their information, and I was wondering if your hospital, particularly Brooklyn Hospital, was hacked, and was there any damage done to the record keeping and the work that's being done at your place?
So the article said a Brooklyn hospital, and it is
Yeah,
not
well,
the,
yeah.
it is not
Yeah.
the Brooklyn Hospital.
Okay, not yours. All right, I was just curious.
Yeah, thank you. I don't want to say any more than that. I don't want anybody to put a target on my back. That's all I got.
Okay.
No,
We definitely don't want you in a target. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions in open session? Hearing none, we'll move forward to agenda item number 12, community forum. This is where items can be announced or discussion can take place from members of the community. I want to give a preference to members of the community first. And then if there aren't any items, board members could have an open session. Any speaker in this portion of the agenda is limited to 2 minutes. But let me see if there's any comments from members of the community who are non-community board 2 members. So if you would, please raise your hand, or you can indicate your desire to speak by saying so in the chat. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call on Mr. Flanoy. Bill, you're on mute.
Okay, thank you. This is an item that came up while we're doing the meeting for the asylum seekers. What we discovered about the shelter system is how much it costs to shelter a family. To shelter one person for a year costs $50,000. To shelter a family with minor children, it costs $69,000 a year. And for families with related adults, it's $63,000. That, if you put them in permanent housing, would be cheaper. The shelter system there's a better way of handling people who need shelter. If we could put them in permanent housing or find a way to do that, it would save the city money. I just wanted to make a comment about that. It's more expensive to live in a shelter than it is to live in downtown Brooklyn. I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Seeing no other hands and no indication in the chat. Hold on. Okay, seeing no other indication in the chat. Oh, Doug, go ahead.
No, just real quick. I just threw a link in the chat real quick. I don't really want to talk about it that much. I don't want to take everyone's time, but just wanted to throw it out there so everyone can take a look at it. Some houses, houses that are landmarked in downtown Brooklyn. I've reached out to Barbara, who put in Carlton lap, but I just want to put it out there, and I'll work behind the scenes about if there's anything we can do, but I just wanted to let people know that that article was out there.
So I want to use this as an example for everyone and even members of the community. When we get information like this, I encourage everyone to work through the board office. So let's see if we can make this an agenda item for the committee, because this is something that may be of interest or provide some greater detail and insight to members of the land use committee. To be clear, landmark items do fall under that committee as well. And so we work with the board office. We'll see if we can get it on the agenda, if in fact it's not already a part of the agenda. But this is very helpful that we have this information in this form. It lets people know that we're not glossing over the topic, but the more robust conversations will take place in the committee because there's more time set aside for items like this. So that's really just a teachable moment. And thank you, Doug, for putting that out for us to be aware of.
Appreciate it, Chairperson. Happy holidays,
Sure.
everyone.
Sure.
Okay. And I should just partial response to Doug, and thank you for bringing it to our attention, Doug. Those are those old houses that were moved.
Carlton,
Yeah.
I'm giving you a big hug, but hold that, save it for the committee. Thanks.
Well, and we may or may not have a committee
Yeah,
on that.
save it for the committee. I appreciate that. I don't want to have a committee meeting now, so thank you.
Okay, I'm just saying we might not even do it.
That's why I'm saying save it, because we'll deal with it offline. Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else on the committee, because this is for community forum. I don't want to lose the sight that this is for the community. So any other items from the community or any members from the community have a topic that they want to discuss. All right, again, I'm just going to do this one last round. Any members from the board who have an item that is that could be worthy of community attention. With that, the next item on the agenda I see is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. And
Move to adjourn.
I wish everyone a happy holiday. If I don't get a chance to see you, be safe and enjoy the time away from the community board.
Okay.
Take care, everyone. Thank you. Have a good night.
Hey,
Good
take care.
night.
Happy holiday. Bye. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.